Cannot believe it's been 7 whole years since little Nathan O'Brien, who was only 5 years old at the time, and his grandparents, Alvin and Catherine Lickness, went missing from their own home. For 2 weeks, the Amber Alert that went out completely shook all of Canada. Everyone was looking for this family. I remember it, and I was living in Eastern Canada at that time, over in New Brunswick. They were in Alberta, which is like all the way over on the other side of the country. This case was everywhere at the time, but I didn't even know all of the details of what happened to them until I looked at it today. So on June 29th, 2014, little Nathan O'Brien, who was such a grandma's boy, like he adored his grandmother, had the choice from his parents of whether he wanted to go to the zoo or spend time with his grandparents, and he chose his grandparents, which I just think speaks to what a wonderful child Nathan must have been. That afternoon, he was spotted at the park with his grandfather playing, and then that evening, he asked his mother if they could all have a sleepover at his grandparents' house. His mother, Jennifer, said yes, and she was actually going to stay at the family house too. But around midnight, her little one started acting up, so she gathered him up and took him home, leaving just Nathan and his grandparents at the house. And honestly, when I read that, that gave me such chills for what happened next. The next morning around 8 a.m. when Jennifer showed up at her parents' house to collect her son, it was apparent a violent act had happened inside it overnight. There was blood all over the house, and on the way out the door, there was a smeared small handprint. Catherine, Alvin, and their grandson were all missing. Jennifer frantically called police, who told her to get in her car immediately and lock the car doors because someone could still be in the house. Police arrived and searched the home several times just because if Nathan had gotten scared, they thought maybe he's hidden still somewhere in the house, too scared to come out, but he wasn't there. Police determined that all three of them were alive when they left the house, even with the blood left on the scene. So they immediately issued an Amber Alert. This Amber Alert would be lifted in about 2 weeks on July 14th, not because they found Nathan or his grandparents. In fact, they would never fully find Nathan or his grandparents, but because police had their suspect in custody. This is Douglas Garland. He was 57 years old at the time, and he was actually a previous employee of Alvin, Nathan's grandfather. His sister had actually called police on him because his truck was similar to the one they'd been looking for. While police held Garland in jail over a fake ID charge that had happened years before, they searched his farm. Well, I shouldn't say his farm. He was still living at his parents' farm at 57 years of age in their basement, but anyways. But personally for me, what police would end up finding at this farm really makes me wonder if this was the first crime like this that Garland had committed.